I'm taking this rusty, rough 10-gallon pot, smoothing it down, and turning it into something beautiful. Stick around and I'll show you how I got it done. So I'll need a few essentials to get started. Some safety glasses, a respirator mask, some extra filters for the mask, some safety gloves, and some flap disc. I'm starting with a 40 grit and then working my way up to an 80 grit. I got a few extra of this 40 grit off to the side right here as well. All right, moving along. Starting out, I will need 5 gallons of white vinegar. Also for this project, I'm wearing old clothes. As you can see here, an old hoodie, and then my holy pants. There's the hole. I'm going to pre-prep this pot by spraying it down and just rinsing out any loose dirt or debris or rust. Once I have that emptied out, I'll take a stainless scrubber like this one here, and I'll just use it to scrub the surface of this pot to break up any of that surface rust. I will then once again spray the pot down and then empty it out. And now I can get started with the vinegar. And that vinegar will hit you right in the face. Whew. More than once.
It stings the nostrils.
From here, I'll fill the pot the rest of the way with water. Doing a 50-50 mix will weaken the acid just enough so that it can remove the rust but not damage the cast iron. After letting this soak for 2 hours, I dump everything out. And then I get a scoring pad and scrub the inside of the pot. And then I once again take the hose pipe to this bad boy. And yes, I know what you're thinking, what's a hose pipe? That's just what we've always called a garden hose down in South Louisiana. But look at there, no more rust. So I wouldn't say you necessarily have to do this next step right here, but I like to take this wire brush, attach it to my angle grinder, and give this kind of a first grind with the brush. It just kind of breaks up some things on the surface, which gives me a little bit of a head start before I attach the flap discs. And that is what we're looking like right here. I'm going to go ahead and spray this down. It was actually kind of late in the evening at this point, so I went ahead and saved my energy for the next day. I did forget to mention early on that I will be wearing ear protection. This here is my angle grinder, and I'm starting with the 40 grit. I'm going to try my best here to show you as much as I can show you. Anything coming off this pot becomes an overspray onto something else, so I didn't want to get my camera real close to it. I'm actually doing this in the very back corner of my yard too. But the goal is to do small motions, starting out with like a gentle push and then working my way into an even harder push, smoothing out every porous part of this pot. Whew, that's a tongue twister. But as you'll see up close, here are the porous little bits that I'm getting off little by little. And then it goes to nice and smooth to the other side, which has the porous section again. But right here in the middle, that's the goal. This ain't for the faint of heart. You gotta get after it. You get a little dirty. Some marks on my face from the mask and the goggles. But I know what the end result will be, and that's why I do this. So If you want to do this too, man, just know that you have a challenge ahead of you. But it's going to be worth it. Trust me. And round one is done. 40 grit flap discs are down. And I'm starting to sound like Darth Vader.
I can't breathe in this thing.
Thankfully, I could breathe in this thing. And it was time to move on to the 80 grit flap discs. So with the 80 grit, you don't necessarily have to go hacking at it like you do with the 40 grit. This is just pretty much about smoothing things out and getting it looking nice. Once I have gotten everything to my liking, the pot looked like this right here. I could not wait to get this bad boy seasoned. But first, we got to give this thing one final cleaning. So I take the hose pipe to this bad boy once again, and then I'll take some Dawn spray here, spray it throughout the pot, and then I'll grab my scrubber and just scrub this thing down really good. I want to remove all remaining debris from the inside surface of this pot. The last thing I want is any metal shavings polymerizing to this when I go and heat it up. I'll also scrub down the outside really good because I will end up adding a layer to the outside for a little added protection there as well. Once I have this thing completely washed down, I try to dry it off quickly with some paper towels. Unseasoned cast iron can rust quickly because it's unprotected metal full of pores, as you see here. Unprotected metal plus water and oxygen is the perfect recipe for instant rust. But thankfully this is a flash rust and easy to clean. It hasn't had time to bond deep into the metal. As I wipe the outside of this pot, you'll see that there's zero rust. And that's because there's already a protective layer on the outside of this pot. Now it's time to get this bad boy heated up. I'm gradually getting the inside of this pot heated to about 300 degrees, something I'm checking with my thermal gun. But you'll see here that I've moved the pot on its sides just so that I can get it heated evenly. Once I have the pot heated evenly, I take a damp towel and wipe the inside surface. With the pot hot, I don't have to worry about flash rust. The water evaporates immediately. It can't sit long enough to react with oxygen and form rust. So basically, this is just one final steam cleaning, making sure I've gotten every single bit out of the inside of the pot. Now I can get to the seasoning. I'll be using grapeseed oil, which has a very high smoke point of 420 degrees. It's great for seasoning cast iron. I'm actually going to pour it on some paper towel here because this is a super smooth surface and I want to apply a very thin layer. I can also show you guys how clean the inside of this pot is. For this first layer, I give a very thorough wipe. I even speed up the camera here because I know I was wiping a lot. But it was so important to make sure that I have a thin layer of oil. I keep wiping to the point where it almost looks dry because I don't want nothing to bead up on the surface of this pot. At this point, I let the interior of the pot heat to 500 degrees. You'll see smoke starting to rise out the inside of the pot. The oil's breaking down and forming a bond to the metal. As I see the surface darken, that's where I know polymerization is happening. I then flip the pot onto its side and allow the polymerization to happen along all the walls of the pot. I'll have to rotate it accordingly all the way around until I get everything dark. Now these are some high heat resistant gloves, but don't ask me where I got them because they really aren't that good. They're kind of burning on me, and I eventually had to use the hooks that came with the pot in order to turn it. Nonetheless, through perseverance, I'm able to get all the walls of this pot dark. I'm very pleased with this first layer of seasoning. It has a beautiful color and the pot looks so smooth. But I'm not done yet. I am waiting for the pot to cool down to about 300 degrees, but the plan is to add some seasoning to the bottom of this pot. Now the outside of the pot has a rough surface, so I don't have to necessarily be too cautious on how much oil I'm putting on here. I just have to make sure I wipe it down smooth. From here, I will once again add a thin layer of oil to the inside of this pot. I didn't feel the need to show you guys a sped up version again of me wiping down this pot. Just know that I got it done. For this next layer, I'm going to show you a little trick I like to do. I take an oven rack and put it on top of my burner. Then I take the pot, flip it upside down, and put it on top of the oven rack. Then I once again get the pot heated up. This method really works great. You can let the pot sit there for like an hour and a half. The heat travels up inside the pot and it just polymerizes beautifully. Of course, Dash was curious.
Hey. Yeah. Come on.
After an hour and a half, not only is the inside of the pot polymerized, but the outside is as well. At this point, I turn the heat off and I'll let it sit there for about 30 minutes before pulling it off like this. I'll then remove the oven rack and put the pot back on the burner. And this bad boy is done, son. Just look at that right there. Absolutely beautiful. And just in time for this magnificent jambalaya. But that is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to smooth out your black iron pot, follow this method right here. Hi-ya!